So here's my traditional poem I always read on this first Sunday of the new year. You'll probably remember it. 'Twas the day after Christmas, and all through the house, nothing would fit me, not even a blouse. The cookies I'd nibble, the eggnog I'd taste, all the holiday parties had gone to my waist. When I got on the scales, there arose such a number. When I walked to the store, less a walk, more lumber. I'd remember the marvelous meals I'd prepared, the gravies and sauces and beef nicely reared, the wine and the rum balls, the bread and the cheese, and the way I never said, no thank you, please. As I dressed myself in my husband's old shirt and prepared once again to do battle with dirt, I said to myself, as I only can, you can't spend a winter disguised as a man. So away with the last of the sour cream dip. Get rid of the fruitcake, every cracker and chip. Every last bit of food that I like must be banished till all the additional ounces have vanished. I won't have a cookie, not even a lick. I'll want only to chew on a long celery stick. I won't have hot biscuits or cornbread or pie. I'll munch on a carrot and quietly cry. I'm hungry, I'm lonesome, and life is a bore. But isn't that what January is for? Unable to giggle, no longer a riot. Happy New Year to all, and to all a good diet. Yay! Happy New Year! Happy New Year!
That's so wonderful.
I think that's especially true for me this year because I made a big batches of fudge. And I like to eat that fudge too. So, here we are. We celebrated the end of 2016. And here we are at a new beginning. A new beginning. I love a book that Martha Smock once wrote. Martha Smock was the head of Silent Unity at one point, walked with the Fillmores, and it was turnaround. So here we are at a turnaround. Here we are at a new beginning. Take a breath and let that in. Here we are at a new beginning, a brand new baby year. That's where we're at. A brand new baby year. It's a time of living and being new and different. It's a time of living and being new and different. Did everyone pick their white stone when they came in? Did you all pick it? Good. That white stone is especially for you, as long as you picked it out. I invite you to hold your white stone in your hand right now. To really hold it in your hand. With all the awareness that is in you right now, I invite you to hold that with your white stone in your hand. And know that this stone represents the new beginning. This stone represents a new beginning. Know that you are starting this new year with a clean slate. And that's what the white stone represents. It is a clean slate. And so in this ceremony we are doing, this year we're doing two things. The first one is that we are choosing our white stone. And the second thing is that we're going to be writing down a new name for ourselves. And the white stones that you received are very precious stones. They come from the area in Hebron. Hebron is the site of the oldest Jewish community in the world, dates back to biblical times. The book of Genesis relates that Abraham purchased the field where the tomb of the patriarch is located as patriarchs are located as a burial place for his wife Sarah. And according to Jewish tradition, the patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the matriarchs Sarah, Rebecca, and Leah are buried in a tomb there. Hebron has a long and rich Jewish history. It was one of the first places where the patriarch Abraham resided after his arrival in Canaan. King David was also anointed in Hebron, where he reigned for 7 years. So he was the beloved king. He was the one that was able to bring all of the tribes together. So just allow yourself now to feel the energy that is in this stone, knowing that those people have walked on this stone. Those people that I have mentioned, their energy is in this stone. The beginnings, the very beginnings, the ancient one. So this ceremony it's an ancient ceremony. It's an ancient ritual, actually, that dates back to the time when Jesus was teaching. And when someone served time in prison or was in bondage of any kind, they were given a white stone when they were released. Now this represents that each of us have been in bondage. Each of us have those things that hold us for a while, that we have to overcome, that we have to transform, and we all go through that. And so if you can think back to this year, 2016, and what perhaps was that for you, know that this is a new beginning. This is the time that you are wiping that slate clean. So the white stone signifies then a clean slate. It signifies freedom, really. It signifies your freedom. And all of our past was in prison in some way. Think about what prison is, and in those things that imprison us. And I was thinking about this as I was preparing this and realizing that really that's what the spiritual journey is about, is coming to realize that it is spirit. When we surrender to spirit, we are released from the bondage of the world. We are released from the bondage of the worldly things, from the ego, really. We are released when we choose spirit. And so that really is what this is representing for us. And the more we can understand that in our consciousness, the more support we get then when we do go through these situations in our lives. And we all do, don't we? We're on the human journey. We're being spiritualized. And so we're all going to meet those times. We're all going to have those times in our lives. And so let this white stone represent that for you. Carry it with you. Through this ceremony, you're going to, I'm going to take you through, you're going to receive a new name. And it's very powerful. And I invite you to carry this. I like to put it on my desk, and I look at it all through the year. And it's amazing because you might get a word that will come up for you that you'll go, I don't have any, I don't, understand what that's about. One year I came up with self-conscious. And I went, what's that? Self-conscious. And I thought that it was going to be all about the small self-conscious, that I was feeling self-conscious. No, what I realized by the end of the year was it was growing my capital S self-conscience in me to become more and more conscious of my capital S, my spirit self in me. That's what that was about. But I didn't understand it until the end, as I could reflect back on this. So don't be bothered that you don't understand it, because you will understand it as your year unfolds, as time goes on for you. So the ceremony comes from Revelations 2:17, where John is talking to the people and that are being given a new name. And he says, let anyone who has an ear listen to what the Spirit is saying. And so the ear that he is referring to here is not an outer ear. the ear that he's referring to here is the inner ear. It's the small voice. It's listening to the small voice, listening to it as it whispers to you. And so in order to do that, we have to develop a quality in us, the quality of listening. The quality of listening to our heart instead of our head, instead of the intellect. Boy, that's a journey, isn't it? That's the journey. That's the longest journey, really, that we will ever take, that 18-inch journey from the head to the heart. And there's a whole learning in that deep listening that goes with that. So tools that we use to overcome and to be able to do that is prayer. Is meditation and prayer. So to be able to get used to and familiarize yourself with the voice of God that is within you, because it's different than it is within me. Everybody has, what it is in them, what that sounds like in them. It's going to be different. So we use in unity and meditation and prayer, we use affirmations and denials, don't we? So the tools of affirmations and denials. This reminds me, this week I came up with the theme for our youth ed department this year, and the theme is tools for transformation. And I love that. Mm-hmm. I love that, and I thought, we all could use that. We can all use that. So we're going to study with them. And this month they are studying the prayer for protection. And each line is an affirmation. Each line. And so what is that? The light of God surrounds me. What is the light of God? And how is this a tool for me? In unity we have the four-legged stool. And those are all tools for transformation. Each one of those are. So we are so blessed to be in a religion that gives us tools for transformation, that teaches us that we can transform situations in our life, that we can overcome. That we can overcome if we're willing to practice, if we're willing to listen to the voice of God that is within us, if we're willing to develop a relationship with God within us. And so that 18-inch journey from the intellect, who's very good at figuring it out, and we continue to run in circles sometimes with our intellect, to our heart, the things that we do for love. So the use of denials and affirmations, and to sit in the silence and listen to Spirit. We talked about that last week in the quest class. To sit in the silence, where God is. I am God is. I am God is. Bible verse goes like this: to everyone who conquers, I will give some of the hidden manna. To all who see beyond the appearances, I will give all that is needed to live. And so this is the second part of the white stone ceremony. So the first part is choosing that white stone, which represents clean consciousness, cleaning slate, a higher consciousness. I'm choosing to live in a higher state of mind. That's what the first one is. The second one is that everyone has this hidden mana. What is this hidden mana? What is mana? It is power. It is spiritual power. And that's what this is telling us, that to everyone who conquers, to everyone that is able to move from their head to their heart, there is hidden power. There is power. How often, when we stay in our heads, do we want to fight and argue? Yeah. We do. But when we move to our hearts, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I did a beautiful memorial on Saturday. I think it was Saturday. No, it was Friday. for a woman that was raised in Germany. She was 91. She was right in the middle of everything. Her father's name was Abraham. He was a banker. She was right in the middle of everything. And oh my goodness, the stories that her family told of her, about her, and how she was, and how she came to be as an adult, which was hard, which was difficult because she still had all of the past occurrences in her, which she didn't want to talk about at all. So that created some interesting protection that was in her. But her life was so rich, and everyone that she touched, her life was so rich. And I could tell from her sons, they were wonderful, loving men. Wonderful, loving men that adored their mother. And how she prepared them with love. She was able to move beyond all of that hate to love. To love. And she was able to bring it through her and to love her children. She really knew the difference. She really knew the difference. Beautiful stories, beautiful stories. So to everyone who conquers, for us as followers of Spirit, so there is a war going on. It's not an outer war, it's an inner war. It's always an inner war between the intellect and the heart. So who will win? And what does it take to get out of the war? It takes surrender. It takes surrender. How willing are you to surrender? To surrender to the heart. So yet, many, many times, we don't surrender. But when we do surrender and go within, then and only then do we really conquer. This is the paradox between the human journey and the spiritual journey. This is why there was so much confusion at the time of Jesus, why they were expecting a king that would be a warrior. And he wasn't. He was a warrior of the heart, wasn't he? Yeah. So he wasn't about fighting. It was about compassion and love and understanding. How often in your life when things come at you or they spark you and you find yourself getting angry and defensive, how often are you able to surrender that? And not become passive. This is not about passive. This is about having a voice, but having a voice of love. Having a voice of love. Only in surrender is there victory. Only in surrender. Not an outer surrender or an outer victory, but an inner surrender and an inner victory. A victory of letting go and letting God be God in and through me. A victory of letting go and letting God be God in and through me. Or letting good be good. Or letting love be love through me. One of the beautiful things I saw with Daryl was I saw his true nature come through this last year when he was in the nursing home. In all of the midst of everything that was going on for him, he made it okay because of his love. He was loving everyone around. He would play the piano for them. He was befriending. There was a man in his room that became his brother. They loved each other. There was a woman that was in the room next door that just adored Daryl, and he would always go with her down the hall, and they would sit together at meals and stuff. Patsy was her name, is her name. And he befriended Patsy. He made the best of the situation. He loved right where he was at. And he made it very clear that he did not want to have treatment for this because it wasn't his way. It wasn't his way. But he made the best of it. He made the best of it. What a great example. What a great teacher for all of us. And that was Daryl, wasn't it? Daryl was just love. And it came through in his music all the time. So we will miss him. In the days of wandering in the wilderness with Moses, they believed that manna was sent down by God each day. So power was sent down by God each day. And this is very similar to the Aborigine in Australia. The Aborigine, every day, they come together in a circle. They meet every morning, and they do a dance celebrating that they get to live one more day. One more day, and they do it in joy, and they do it in thanksgiving. And they know that whatever comes across their path has been sent by God to them, to support them in some way. They live in the now. They live in the now. So the people only had to go and collect it each day. They didn't have to do anything else. So when we surrender to Spirit, then the promise is fulfilled. And we are given hidden manna that is not visible to the world. We are given the peace that passes all understanding. And an entirely new source of power and energy and nourishment. This hidden manna is derived from these higher levels of being within us. It nourishes our soul first, then the body, and then it benefits our whole being. This hidden manna. How many of you have felt that way after you've had a great meditation? Yeah, we just feel filled up, don't we? That's how we nourish our soul, is by filling ourselves up with the presence of God. And that means to become aware of the presence of God, because really the presence of God is there all the time. It never leaves us. We're never separate from it except in our thinking. And so when we bring our awareness to it, right there we become receptive. We become vessels in that moment, and we begin to fill ourselves up. In the gospel, Jesus alludes to this very thing when he says to his disciples in John, I have food to eat that you do not know about. I have food to eat that you do not know about. This hidden manna is the vital life substance and the energy of the Spirit, and it is directly assimilated into our entire being. So when we go into the state of meditation and prayer, we are being filled in that moment. The second part of the promise is Revelations 2:17, and I will give you a white stone, and on the white stone is written a new name that no one knows except the one who receives it. And so first we have to choose the stone. First we have to choose to surrender to God, or to the consciousness of goodness, and then we will receive the hidden manna. We will receive that vital life substance. And then on it is written a new name. So what this new name is about is, in those ancient times when someone was released from prison, they were given a white stone, and everyone that saw them walking on the streets knew that they had been released. Knew that there was a new slate, a clean slate. And they treated them in that way, that they were new again. And it was a big deal to receive a new name. A name wasn't something that they went through books to choose in those days. A name was given to them through prayer. This is the name your child will receive. This is important. And so whenever in the Bible, you see this a lot. You see where there have been name changes. Saul, remember the story of Saul, whose name eventually becomes Paul. But what did he have to do in order to become Paul? He had to surrender. And it shows that in when he fell off the horse and he went blind for 3 days. 3 days. He had to surrender. And he ended up, at one point he was a Roman soldier. He was against this new Christian group of people that were out there and going to take over, and then all of a sudden he was supporting them. He went through he became different. A consciousness change. That's what a new name represents. Sarai becomes Sarah. So you can see that over and over and over again, how their names were changed because their consciousness changed. And so that's what this part of the ceremony is all about. You're going to receive a new name. You're going to receive a new quality, a new way of being. So you've done the first part by choosing your stone. By choosing your stone, you're saying, yes, I will surrender to letting God be God in me. And now we're going to go through the ceremony where you're going to be given a new name, a new quality of being that is yours to discover, really, this year. Now, don't worry if nothing comes to you. Just keep your heart open through this week. Carry your stone with you, and something will come. Something eventually will come to you. Okay, so I invite you just to get comfortable. Does everyone have your pencil? Have a pencil or writing instrument? Okay, you don't, raise your hand. All right, get comfortable and have your white stone on your lap. I just invite you now to take a deep breath, to close your eyes. Close your eyes to the outside world. Open your eyes to the inner world. And know that now we are now in the presence of pure being. You are now in the presence of pure being. And I invite you to consciously invite the activity of God within you. I invite you to consciously invite the Holy Spirit into your heart and mind. And bring all your attention inward. And if your thoughts go to something outside, it's okay. Don't resist it, don't fight it, just bring it in. And just be in your heart. Perhaps there is a new career for you this year. Perhaps a new title. Perhaps a new quality that Spirit is pressing out through you. I invite you to give your ego a few minutes off and to let that divine Holy Self in you come through you. Give yourself permission to know Give yourself permission to know this new quality, to know this new way of being, this new name, this new venture that's going to come out through you. What is God speaking to you right now? And if things begin to pop in, don't doubt them. Just let them come through. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. Just receive it. Allow it to unfold through you this new year, 2017. Receive it now. And as you begin to receive it, just write it down on your white stone. And like I said, if you didn't receive anything now, just be willing to have your heart open, your ears and eyes open, and something will come. And write it down on your white stone at that time. Be willing to carry this stone. Be willing to carry this new consciousness, this new awareness with you this entire year. And next year, on New Year's Eve, look back. Look back and see how it has developed in you.